We've heard a lot about the Light Emperor and his conquest of these lands and sending out the current Arathi Lightbringers and all that we see right now in Hallowfall. He's an interesting character. And he does remind me a lot of the Scarlet Crusade. Even doing the dungeons, I've been feeling a lot of Scarlet Crusade vibes, Scarlet Monastery vibes from these guys. What is this here? The Arathi Light Emperor Thoradin and Scarlet Crusade join forces? What is this? Obviously, it must be true, because Doran, the truth teller himself, is saying it. Let's see what this video is all about.
So these new Arathi humans, led by the Emperor Thoradin, very likely live in a place called Everloren, and they're able to reach this land we can't actually reach ourselves through the power of the light. They still call themselves the Arathi Empire. Their light...
Mind you, not only can we not reach it, the Titans can't reach it. The Titans themselves have sent over expeditions to Everloren, and they failed every time. So there's something interesting going on there that these light people can get there, but everyone else can't.
Fanatics, incredibly powerful, that wouldn't tolerate most of our races, literally the dream of the Scarlet Crusade. At the same time, the Scarlet Crusade recently started getting oddly powerful light abilities where they turned into beings of pure light, claiming that light will wipe our stain from the world. They had a base called Avalon, they're incredibly devoted to the light, and they had a sizable fleet. Furthermore, the northern eastern kingdoms is getting revamped, and they really set up the Scarlet Crusade in Dragonfight in what is really the pre-revamp stage. Could it be possibly through the power
I'll be honest, I kind of was sad with what they did with the Scarlet Crusade and the whole undead campaign. Like that whole, it wasn't just undead, wasn't it? Like it was the Worgen and all that shit. I just felt like they were just mobs that we were gonna kill. Like I feel like the Scarlet Crusade deserves better than that. They're better than just some silly mobs that we kill and move on. No, there's more to them, more great things, and of course Lady Whitemane. I mean, the source of so many wonderful pieces of art on the internet right now. Don't Google it right now, but I'm just saying.
Stage. Could it be possibly through the power of the light that the Scarlet had established communications with Emperor Thoradin a few years back, and that they could be actual allies if the Emperor decides to take his original homeland back? Without a doubt, the best way to get into programming is with
Doran's
boot.dev.
jacked,
This
man.
is essentially what programming would be like if it was an RPG game. You got everything from XP, levels, achievements, quests.
Yeah, she is
but
now.
not in a gimmicky way. You're actually going to develop real-world skills that will translate into a full-on career where you can work from home if you really dedicate yourself to it. The whole idea is to write a ton of code right off the bat. Now, the team understands that not everyone can pay for a membership right now, therefore all the content is free to read and watch in guest mode. The paid membership unlocks the actual interactivity of the program. However, they're so confident you will love it that they have a free demo of every course and interactive features, as well as a 30-day no questions asked refund policy. So click the link in the description, check out what boot.dev has to offer, use my code DoransMovies to get 25% off your first payment. That's first month or first year, depending on the subscription you choose.
Use code DoransMovies.
Check out boot.dev.
Become a coder.
By this point, everyone already knows about the Arathi humans. They're one of the most significant storylines of the new expansion. They put them in the trailer. They're obviously set up to be here for good, very likely for the entirety of the saga. And they're not just thematic allies and villains, like kobolds for example. They're obviously here to be a big part of the previous and the future storylines that are going to reveal some gaps that we didn't even know existed. So I made about 1,000 videos on them through the various developmental stages of the expansion, but I'm just going to give you a really quick overview of the facts that we had gotten. So based on the decipher document, we actually have information that their emperor is called Thoradin, very likely Thoradin the Ninth, and has been ruling the empire for at least 300 years. They are heavily light-based, very fanatic.
He's been ruling for 300 years? Or his family has? Thoradin the Ninth, my god. I guess if it's him, he could certainly be like Turellian, right? Turellian has lived for an extremely long time. It's like the light allows you to live longer. It like imbues itself in you and changes you to somewhat be like a less mortal human. So maybe, yeah. I mean, we do see it in the lore that the light has extended human lives before. So I guess he could be 300 years old.
But also significantly technologically advanced.
Oh yeah, and he's half-elf probably. That's true. Yeah, that could be it. He could be half-elf too. Now, I don't know if all Arathi are all the new Arathi from Hallowfall and where they came from are all half-elves, We know that this expedition at least is for the most part, but yeah, he could be half-elf too.
Powerful. I previously mentioned that the Emperor is certainly not human since he's a couple of centuries old and that he could be actual light undead because we just learned these Arathi priests are able to raise undead.
Well, you don't got to be undead. Like I said, Tyrellian himself, he is not undead. Tyrellian has not died, but the light has extended his life. That's why he's lived for so long.
It could play with the entire Calia
So
Fanatical light undead storyline. However, what I did forget at that point in time is that elves also live for a really long time, so it's entirely possible that he's a half elf, half human, which gives him this type of an elongated lifespan. Now, what we also know is that the Empire is fanatical and they're very light devoted, and they have a bit of a different form of the light that they used. Now, the Emperor himself got a vision around the time of Cataclysm of the final battle between the light and the void called Ranilash, and he sent an expedition to Ranilash. What is even more interesting that a lot of people are skipping over is that Velen also got that vision at the exact same time on a completely different part of Azeroth, and that is when we learned of the Anduin leading the Army of the Light in what we thought was a distant future. It is also very likely that this is the exact same vision that Zera had back in Legion, and how she wanted to recruit Illidan and how the battle against the Burning Legion was relevant in the long term, and it does seem like she was actually right, especially as Illidan is confirmed to actually return in the World Soul Saga. So from this perspective, the entire Legion storyline was really just one small stepping stone.
Yeah, I wonder, with Illidan's return and everything, and this whole light-based army and the light versus the void, I wonder if the light's done with him yet. We obviously know that they wanted to use him, right? The light wanted to use him to become like this light-forged Illidan, to be their, their prophet basically, and continue forward to fight their battles for them and everything, and he denied it, obviously. He blasted the freaking Naru into pieces, so that amazing cinematic cutscene happened. But what happens now when he comes back? Is he going to be okay with siding with the light? That might be what he has to do to fight against the void. Or maybe the light changes in a way, the Hallowfall light's different, I don't know. But I feel like there's going to be some more interactions going forward between Illidan and the light, especially with the fact that he killed, what was it, Zera? Was her name? Yeah. Messed her up.
Just one small stepping stone. It wasn't really the final battle of World of Warcraft. Now, the Emperor, unlike Velen, who tried to consolidate his people, sent a pretty large expedition to fight in this battle called Ranilash, and they ended up reaching this place called Kazlagar, and they had settled right around Beledar, which they call the Emperor's Vision. Settled is a bit of an understatement, as they had essentially crash-landed in this zone, lost quite a lot of people, and pretty much all the mages that were supposed to actually connect them to the mainland. The thing is, though, it does seem like all of this was the Emperor's actual vision, because we got a few documents, and he envisioned the battle between the Nerubians, the Harbingers, so it's very likely all of this was a part of his plan. Now, before I bore you too much with the lore you probably already know, let me just explain how this could realistically be connected to the Scarlet Crusade and why it could turn out to be a really interesting storyline in the near future, despite, I know, this sounding super tinfoil hat based. A big part of it comes to the light and their technology. The biggest hint right now is that this massive light empire is on Avalor.
There's the obvious similarity in that, they're kind of both like anti-other races and stuff like that. Like, I don't see that they would really disagree with each other, the Scarlet Crusade and these guys.
Which could be a continent potentially west of Kalimdor. We don't really know the exact location, but certainly the beyond the storming sea. Apparently there is a place that the Titans didn't want us to know about, and that it can be reached by conventional means, and it is likely these crazy half-elves have managed to reach this place through magic and their light-powered airships. This is why we
Well, don't we know that they got here by like that magic they didn't even understand? I'm pretty sure it was explained to us during the campaign. Right, that they basically got caught up in a storm, and then there was like a flash of light, and all of a sudden they were in Hallowfall. Like, that was what happened. And now that's why they're stuck there, kind of, is they don't know how to get back out because they don't know how they got in. Now, it's kind of interesting that we did fly out, and now they can get to the Isle of Dorm, but they don't know how to get back home, I guess is the real thing. They don't know how to get back home. They have a mage, the only one who survived in the crash. He's this, like, apprentice mage who doesn't know how to make a portal back home yet, so he's trying to learn, and eventually he'll probably figure it out, and that's what'll send us to Avalorn. That's probably going to be our way in, is this mage boy will figure out how to open a portal and we can go there. But for now, the way they ended up in Hallowfall, I'm pretty sure was fleshed out during the quest campaign. It was a flash of light. Now they're here.
Ever heard of them before or interacted with them because we didn't have the technology.
They don't have him anymore. Wait, he died? Did he die? Finish the quest? Wait, he died? What the hell? I didn't do the side quests. I did only the main campaign. Does he die? Is the mage guy dead? Oh shit, they're fucked. They're never gonna get back home now. Oh, okay. I guess I'll have to finish that quest line out. Damn.
They've had for quite a long time. Think of it like Pandaria being
Rip.
still beyond the mist, but some light guys managed to actually bypass it with their light technology
Poor
and
guy.
to actually settle there. Now, hear me out. There is an interesting number of oddly similar parallels with the Scarlet Crusade and these guys. First, most obvious one is that their base of operations of the Scarlet Crusade was Avalon, which is oddly similar in name to the name
Interesting
Avaloran, which
connection.
should be a continent where the Arathi are. Oddly enough, Avalon is essentially a port right on the edge of the Eastern Kingdoms. Second is that the Scarlets had a surprisingly well-developed fleet that they managed to create a gigantic port in Northrend and to carry the entire expedition so they could have reached other places. However, the most important thing is that they might have managed to establish the connection through their desperation with the
She is beautiful. The only one, the only one that we know who has gone to Avalorn and come back is that night elf called the Night Squall. That's his name. He goes by the Night Squall. He's like this legendary pirate who supposedly went and came back, and he's the only one who's done it. Whether the Scarlet Crusade has ever been able to do that, that's not in the lore anywhere right now. Maybe we figure out they did later on. But as of right now, this Night Squall character is the only one who's gone and came back to tell the tales.
light after Lordaeron fell. See, while the Scarlets are still painted as the brain-dead NPCs that are just black and white, they're not actually originally evil. Most of their evil side was manipulated through the Dreadlords. They're essentially an order of Paladins that fanatically embraced the light in order to battle the Undead Scourge, and they just wanted to wipe everyone out. It is entirely possible that through their completely fanatical view of the light, they somehow managed to get in touch with the light Arathi. First of all, the light has this weird way of communications. It's very likely that Emperor Torden and Velen got the same vision. It's likely around this time the Scarlets also got the vision and therefore learned about the light Arathi Empire. Imagine their face when they found out that there is a gigantic Arathi light-based empire that is very powerful and that could actually help them in their efforts and that could restore the glory to the humans. Literally sounds like a Scarlet Crusade dream. Now, check this out. Based on the documents from Kazakar, we're learning that these Arathi light humans...
What does this say based on the documents from Kazalgar? Hold on. What should one do in the last moments if not praising the light of our grand empire and the light of our emperor? Approaching my last breath, I, Elvin, is this the guy's name? Yeah, a paladin and bringer of light to the darkened sights, will write my own eulogy. I spread the light of the Beladar through these light-forsaken creeks and chasms. I bring the light and take stand and banish the darkness. With my life I have vowed to complete this task, and it is with my death that I have expanded the Arathi's reach. We are seeking the light. We are the holders of the eternal brazier and of our emperor. The flame's light guides us wherever we stride. We are the stars that guide through the never-ending night. And this guy was ready to die for his beliefs, that's for sure. Yeah, very cool. And yeah, this is the typical beliefs of a lot of them, is that they are very much zealots of the light. They totally believe in its message and what it's going to bring them.
We're learning that these
willing to
Arathi
die
light
for it.
humans actually only call themselves the Arathi Empire. They still consider themselves the original heir to the Arathi Empire, and based on the info, not even an heir, they just consider themselves to be the continuation of the Arathi Empire. Now, let's turn back to the Scarlets and some recent updates that oddly enough happened. First of all, the Scarlets have been surprisingly powerful all these years, being able to launch a massive attack on Undercity despite being entirely destroyed for years, and they did this in Dragonflight. However, if you might remember, in Gilneas, they started getting these very strange abilities where one of them had turned into a gigantic light monstrosity.
Yeah, I remember that.
And told us that the light will purge our stain from the world. I don't know about you, but I know that the Scarlets weren't able to do this in the past. Interesting enough, you're finding similar monstrosities with the Arathi humans and everything that is happening in Kazakar as well. Now, check out the biggest hint. So, do you remember those BFA pamphlets that the Scarlet Crusade started dropping everywhere? While there was
the ones
a
about
bunch of
Anduin?
gibberish, they told us that Anduin is a false king,
Yeah.
and in a document titled The Last Manitil, they say they have an heir. They say Princess Calia read a note.
Calia's beautiful too, man. That's good.
Man of the Arathi bloodline. Keep in mind, they put Arathi in full caps. Now, I don't necessarily think this is the child of Calia Manatill they're referring to. I think this is just a way for them to create legitimacy, as the Manatills are considered the legitimate rulers of Lordran. However, it is definitely odd that they state that this person is of the Arathi bloodline. Most humans are obviously of Arathi heritage, pretty much all the humans, but these Arathi Empire humans are not just Arathi heritage, they're literally still called the Arathi Empire.
Yeah, and these guys, I believe, the way the timeline goes is they broke away before the Arathi Empire ever broke up, so they don't know about Stormwind and Lordaeron and everything. They just knew that the Arathi capital, or whatever they left behind, was the only bastion in the true human kingdom, and everything else that's kind of spread from there, they're not aware of. I don't think they know about it. Now, maybe the Light Emperor himself knows. Maybe he's seen visions of it. Maybe he actually knows what's going on our side of the world. But it wasn't there when they originally left.
Still called Arathi humans. One of their characters is literally called Fair in Lothar, which is oddly similar to End in Lothar, and we still haven't really gotten an explanation what exactly happened there. I do obviously think they're lying here. Calia would know whether she had a child, but I think they could be trying to plan something. Do you think it's interesting that Blizzard did a little bit of a pre-revamp setup in Dragonflight, where they cleared Undercity and Gilneas, which are going to be probably the big zones for Midnight? They significantly featured the Scarlet Crusade and showed us that they had really devoted themselves to the Fanatical Light with these light monstrosities. Could this really be a setup for what is to happen later? All the current hints from Kazakar are pointing to the direction that Thoradin and his Light Empire might not really be the good guys, or at least could be very, very fanatical. It seems like they would not like our playable races and would not tolerate most of the company we keep around, which is pretty much exactly what the Scarlet Crusade does. I do feel like we'll actually see these humans soon, and that there might be a split in the factions where one side will ally with us, potentially against the Emperor. However, seeing that these Arathi light humans consider themselves the Arathi, they would have an interest to reclaim their original homeland, especially as the Void is invading their original homeland, and this could potentially be the Battle of Ranelash. I feel like the Emperor might send a full force, not just an expedition, to the Eastern Kingdoms in Midnight. It is entirely possible that they could be linking up with the Scarlet Crusade, and that the Scarlets may have been working with them all these years without us even knowing anything. Remember, we don't know where these Arathi humans are. It's possible they're west of Kalimdor, the logo of the war within hints that, but it could also be off the shore of the Eastern Kingdoms. It's possible that the east of Eastern Kingdoms leads to the west of Kalimdor. Seeing that Azeroth is a globe, it's very likely that this is the case. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the Light Arathi are going to be our new biggest enemy ever, but I do think we could have a big problem with them. We could be seeing something
we could certainly team up with them at some point to fight the Void, and then we have disagreements later on about what's, our beliefs, and it could lead to some issues. It could probably cause a divide in the actual Arathi themselves, and then we side with half of them, the other half we got to fight against, kind of thing.
The Siege of Orgrimmar type civil war in their midst, where the Light Fanatics with the Emperor might try to reclaim the Eastern Kingdoms. Of course, still too early to speculate anything with certainty, but you gotta admit there is an odd number of parallels between the Scarlets and these Arathi humans.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and check out how the Titan Gold for Azeroth was actually revealed by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Slavic mythology and the god Perun by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with him. It's you could take everything as you see it with a grain of sand if you don't want to fully believe that the Scarlets are going to team up with them. But one thing you have to admit, and that is fact, is that there are a lot of similarities. There's a reason why when you're in some of these cathedrals and stuff that you are feeling like you're in the Scarlet Monastery. It does bring back memories, and that's all by design, I feel like. There are reasons why we're drawing some similarities, and our mind keeps taking us back to the Scarlet Monastery whenever we're dealing with them, and that's because there probably are some relations, either from the past or in the future. We'll have to wait and see.